Welcome back. Now in this lesson, we're going to walk through a deployment using code deploy in the AWS Management Console, but I just wanted to take a quick look at the AppSpec YAML file. The AppSpec file is basically just telling code deploy what actions to perform and where some of our scripts are that code deploy needs to run. So before install, we have an install dependencies shell script, giving it a timeout, 300 seconds, 5 minutes. After install, change permissions, another shell script, application start, shell script, as well as one for our database, and application stop. And this particular AppSpec file is for WordPress deployment, and it's showing where the source is. The source is at our root, and then the destination. So there's not a lot to the AppSpec file. It's just important to understand what it does when using code deploy for deployments. So I'm going to switch the split screen, and we'll bring up the management console and walk through a deployment. All right, so we're going to do a deployment to an AWS auto scaling group. So we're done with IAM, so I'm just going to go over to EC2, and we need to create a launch configuration. Now, just in the essence of time, I've done that already. So let's just take a quick look at it. Copy deploy demo, AS configuration, AS for auto scaling. There is our instance profile that we just looked at. We have a key pair, and we're going to use T2 micros, and we are assigning a public IP address to every instance. So let's go ahead and create an auto scaling group. So let's click Create Launch Configuration, and we'll just use an Amazon Linux 2 AMI. T2 micro is fine. Configure details, and I'll name that code deploy demo AS configuration, AS for auto scaling. Now, for IAM role, there is our instance profile. All right, now we need to expand advanced details, and AWS provides a user data script. I'm going to paste that in, and here's the catch. There's this generic bucket name. We are in the US East 1 region, Northern Virginia. We need to plug in AWS code deploy US East 1. And this is an AWS bucket, and it contains AWS code deploy resource kit files. I'll now provide the link to the details for this in the course materials. And basically, this is why we had to take a look at the AppSpec file, because that AppSpec file is bundled in here. So we're just doing a yum update. We're installing Ruby. We're going to EC2 user home. We're pulling down that code deploy resource kit. We're setting executable permissions on install, and then we're doing an install. Now let's assign a public IP address. We can skip storage, so let's skip to review. That all looks fine. Let's create our launch configuration. Let's create a new key pair. I'll just call it AS deploy, AS for auto scaling group, download, and create launch configuration. All right, now from this launch configuration, we're going to create an auto scaling group. I'll just name it code deploy AS. We'll just stick with one instance for now. And let's just choose a subnet. And let's go to configure scaling policies. Let's keep the group at its initial size, and let's click review. And create auto scaling group. Let's close that. And let's click on the Instances tab. And basically, we're waiting for this to become in service. So this is a good stopping point. I don't want these lessons to become too long. So I'll end this lesson. In the next lesson, we're going to go ahead and deploy our application to our autoscaling group. So please join me in the next lesson.